All right, everyone, get ready, because today we're diving deep into something truly fundamental: continents.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Now, you might think you know everything about continents, from like way back in grade school.
Yeah, right.
But trust me, there's way more to these massive land masses than you might think. We're going to uncover some seriously surprising stuff and like challenge some assumptions we've had about continents, maybe since forever.
You're absolutely right. We kind of think of continents as just these like fixed, unchanging things, but the truth is way more dynamic and even, I might say, controversial.
Controversial. Continent. Okay, now you've got me really curious. What could be so debatable about these giant chunks of land?
Well, just for starters, there's not one single universally agreed upon definition of what a continent even is.
Oh, wow.
It's more about convention than a strict scientific rule.
Wait, are you serious? So all those years of like coloring in maps and memorizing the 7 continents, it was all just a suggestion?
Well, not exactly a suggestion, but more like a framework that's kind of evolved over time and varies across different cultures and academic disciplines. What you learned in school in the 7 continent model, that's common in English-speaking countries, but it's not the only way to divide up the world.
Okay, my mind is already a little blown. So if there's no one definition, what are some of the different ways people define continents?
One common approach is to think of continents as large, continuous land masses. Seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah,
But then you have Australia, which is a continent that's also an island.
right.
And Greenland, which is the biggest island in the world, isn't considered a continent, so size clearly isn't the only thing.
That's true. And what about those little strips of land that connect continents like the isthmuses? For example, the Isthmus of Panama joins North and South America. Did that make them one continent?
That's where things get really interesting. The creation of the Panama Canal, while an amazing feat of engineering, really complicates things. It physically separates those land masses, even though they were once connected.
So human intervention is actually shaping how we see continents. That's crazy. And speaking of human perception, isn't the whole debate about whether America is one continent or two kind of a cultural thing?
Absolutely. Some people argue for a single American continent because of the shared landmass, while others emphasize the separate cultural and historical identities of North and South America. It's a great example of how our cultural perspectives can shape how we understand geography.
It makes me wonder about Europe and Asia. They're all one giant landmass, Eurasia, but we think of them as different continents. Is that just like a Eurocentric viewpoint?
It's a valid point. The historical and cultural differences between Europe and Asia have led to their separation in a lot of models, even though geographically they're connected.
So how many continents are there, really? Is there like a definite answer?
Well, it depends on who you ask. We've got the 7 continent model, the 6 continent model, where Eurasia is combined, another 6 continent model with a unified America. And some people even argue for a 4 continent model. It's enough to make your head spin.
My head is definitely spinning. I'm realizing that continents are way more complex than I thought.
And we've only scratched the surface. Now let's put on our geology hats and dive even deeper, literally.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Ye-
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what continents are actually made of.
From a geological perspective, continents are defined by the type of crust that makes up their landmass. Continental crust is thicker and less dense than oceanic crust, and this difference is really important to understanding how continents form and evolve.
So it's not just about what we see above water. We're talking about the composition of the Earth itself.
Exactly. Geologists study the types of rocks found in continental crust, looking for clues about their formation and history. And this is where it gets really interesting. They've discovered these ancient, stable cores of continents called cratons, which hold billions of years of Earth's history. It's like looking into a time capsule of the planet's formation.
Wow, cratons. Those sound like some serious geological powerhouses. What can they tell us about the early Earth?
Cratons are like puzzle pieces that help us figure out how the Earth's first continents were formed. They give us evidence of ancient mountain ranges, volcanic eruptions, and even the first signs of life on the planet.
So by studying cratons, geologists can sort of piece together a timeline of how continents formed and changed over billions of years.
Exactly. And this leads us to another mind-blowing idea: continental drift. The idea that the continents weren't always where they are today, but have been slowly drifting across the Earth's surface for millions of years.
Wait, hold on. The continents are moving. I thought they were fixed in place.
The ground beneath our feet might feel solid, but it's all relative. The Earth's outer layer is made up of these huge tectonic plates that are constantly shifting and colliding. This process called plate tectonics is what causes continental drift.
Okay, I'm officially mind blown. So we've got these massive plates moving around continents, drifting on top of them. It's like a giant slow motion puzzle that's always changing.
It's a dynamic process that shaped our planet over eons. And it leads to another fascinating idea, supercontinents.
Supercontinents. Okay, you're gonna have to explain this one.
Picture all the continents we know today all merged together into one giant landmass.
Whoa.
That's a supercontinent. And we have evidence that these supercontinents have formed and broken apart many times throughout Earth's history.
Hold on. I need a minute to process all this. We've gone from continents as static shapes on a map to this dynamic, ever-changing system over billions of years.
And we're just getting started. There's so much more to explore about these incredible landmasses, from their geological formations to their impact on human history and culture.
I can't wait to dive in even deeper. But for now, we need to take a break and let all this amazing information sink in. Welcome back to our epic continental expedition. We've already uncovered some really mind-boggling facts about these massive landmasses, and I'm excited to go even deeper.
I'm glad to hear your enthusiasm. It's infectious.
Oh, thanks.
As we continue exploring, it's important to remember that how we understand continents goes beyond just the physical stuff. Human history and culture play a big role in how we see and categorize these landmasses.
Right. We touched on this before with those debates about America versus North and South America and separating Europe and Asia. Are there other examples of how cultural perspectives influence how we understand continents?
Absolutely. Take the concept of Oceania.
Okay.
It's often treated as a separate region, including Australia and all those islands scattered across the Pacific Ocean.
So Oceania is like a hybrid then?
Mhm.
Part continent, part island group?
You could say that. It shows how flexible and adaptable our continental classifications are, considering both geographical and cultural factors. The indigenous peoples of the Pacific Islands have their own unique history and cultural connections, and grouping them together as Oceania recognizes those ties.
It's fascinating how continental groupings can affect our sense of identity. Like the idea of Pan-Africanism emphasizes a shared identity among people of African descent no matter where they live now.
Exactly. Continents can be powerful symbols of unity and solidarity, connecting people with shared histories even across huge distances. This idea of a common continental heritage can create a sense of belonging and a platform for cultural exchange and collaboration.
But like we discussed, these groupings can also be used to divide. Historical conflicts between nations on different continents, for example, often use these perceived differences.
Unfortunately, that's true. Just as continents can be unifying forces, they can also be used to create distinctions and divisions, sometimes leading to tension and conflict. The idea of us versus them can easily be mapped onto continental differences, fueling prejudice and misunderstanding.
Seems like continents are a double-edged sword, capable of both uniting and dividing us, depending on how they're perceived and used.
That's a really insightful observation. It emphasizes how important it is to approach this topic with a critical eye, recognizing both the unifying and dividing potential of these classifications. We need to remember that continents are ultimately human constructs, and how we choose to define and use these groupings has a huge impact on how we understand the world and our place in it.
It's also interesting to think about how continental groupings might change in the future. With globalization and increasing interconnectedness, will our current definitions become less relevant? Could we see new ways of categorizing the world emerge?
Those are great questions, and it's hard to say for sure how things will turn out. As our world becomes more and more interconnected, it's possible that our current continental classifications may become less important or need to be reevaluated. Maybe we'll see a shift towards groupings based on shared cultural values, economic ties, or even environmental concerns.
It's like we're watching a constant back and forth between the physical world and our attempts to understand and categorize it. Continents are a perfect example of this.
Well said. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I encourage you to think about this dynamic relationship between the concrete and abstract aspects of continents. Think about how these huge land masses shaped by billions of years of geological processes also have deep cultural and historical significance.
It's amazing to think about how something as simple as a continent can be so multifaceted and complex.
It really is, and that's the beauty of exploration and discovery. There's always more to learn and uncover, even about things we thought we knew well. As we move into the final part of our continental adventure, I hope you'll keep this sense of wonder and curiosity with you. There's still so much more to discover about these incredible land masses and their lasting impact on our world.
Welcome back, explorers. As we start the final part of our continental journey, I can't help but feel amazed by the sheer size and complexity of these incredible land masses. We've learned so much about how they formed, how they move, and their huge impact on human history and culture.
It's been a real adventure, hasn't it? We've dug deep into geological time, explored the dynamic forces shaping our planet, and even challenged some of our basic ideas about what makes a continent.
Yeah, it really has. I feel like my whole understanding of continents has completely changed. I used to think of them as just static shapes on a map, but now I see how dynamic they are, how interconnected they are, and their deep connection to the human story.
And that's exactly what makes this topic so fascinating. Continents are much more than just physical things. They're woven into our cultural stories, our historical paths, and even our sense of identity.
It's incredible to think that something as seemingly simple as a continent can cause so much debate and inspire so many different interpretations.
It all comes down to perspective, right? The way we define and categorize continents reflects our own unique points of view, shaped by our cultural background, our historical experiences, and our understanding of the world around us.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, I'm left with a question. If our understanding of continents is so fluid and subjective, what does that tell us about our search for knowledge in general?
That's a great question. I think it shows how important it is to consider multiple perspectives and realize that knowledge is always changing. There's rarely just one right answer, and the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know.
Yeah, that's true. It's a humbling thought, but also kind of exciting. It means there's always more to explore, more to discover, and more to understand.
Absolutely. And I think that's the main takeaway from our exploration of continents. They remind us that our world is a complex, dynamic, and interconnected place. There's always more to uncover, more to question, and more to appreciate.
So what's the final word on continents then? Are there seven, six, four, or something else entirely?
The best part is there is no final word. It's up to each of us to explore the different viewpoints, consider the evidence, and come to our own understanding. The process of discovery is just as important as the answer itself.
I love that. It's a reminder that learning is a lifelong journey, and there's always something new to discover, even about things we thought we knew well.
And with that, I think it's time to say goodbye to our continental companions for now.
Until next time, fellow explorers, keep those curious minds active and never stop exploring the wonders of our amazing planet.